So the last couple of sessions, we've talked about simplifying, we've talked about tasks, we've talked about automation. In the last session, we talked about routines, establishing routines, and I'm going to finish off this series today talking about time in and time out. Now, I've talked about that before in another session, so I'm not going to go into much detail about my thoughts about in and out, but you know, we're human doing sometimes, aren't we? We're always doing rather than being. Human beings, yeah? Not human doings, and you might have heard of that before. So, you know, what is time in? Well, time in is when you are really focusing on something, isn't it? When you're in the zone and you're zoned into something and you're really focused. And other people, you know, Michael Apple and other people talk about focus time, and when you do mission critical things that, you know, you really are spending your time and investing your time in something that you're really focused on. Also, time in can include when you do stuff, you know, when you do stuff around the house, or when you're paying your bills or doing your emails, or, you know, you're doing general stuff of life and you're like, still focused, but it's general and you're doing that and you're still investing that time in. I want to talk today a bit more about time out, taking time out, and I'm going to talk about 5 different ways to take time out. I like to do my 5 things, don't I? So I'm not going to break tradition today when I talk about these 5 things. So we're talking about time out. Just little simple strategies that you might want to adopt and take on. And if you do find them interesting, do pop them in the chat. It'd be really useful. But even more importantly, if you've got some tips about taking time out and how you can do it and how you can invest your time in yourself, then pop that in the chat below, because that really helps me, because I see things and I learn and I can try them out and test them out, and I'll comment if I have, or it benefits other people as well. So anyway, should we get on to our 5 things? All right, so my first, number 1, is to think about transition time. When you are going to start something, or when you're finishing something off, or you're going into something, or you're coming out to something. Transition time, I like to just use some of that time and invest that time in myself. One of the ways I do it is when I go in, before I go into work, I like to just have 5 minutes in the car, just to sit in the car and just chill, take a couple of deep breaths. Just think about the day, you think about what I want to achieve, how I'm going to greet the first person I meet, just a little bit of a rehearsal, and that's a transition time. It's also, if you do it in reverse, when you go home at night time, just again to sit in the car before you go in, if you drive, but if you're on the train or you walk or whatever, just take that time just to take a step back and just celebrate the day and think, well, I achieved this today, that was great, or I thought about that, or wasn't it funny when Jane said that, or I was really interested about that article that Bob was reading, I must read that myself. Just take some time before you carry all that into home. It's a great feeling just to say, right, okay, that time transition, those transition times. One of the transition times I love, and I don't know about you, is at the airport. Who's an airport fan? Are you an airport fan? Do you love going on holiday to airports? And I know we've not been on holiday for a bit, but now people are starting definitely to go on holiday. So, you know, transition time in the airport. I love that feeling of I can't wait to check in. And nowadays, I don't usually take a lot of stuff with me. I just have my wheelie bag and whatever. And I love getting to that departure lounge, because it's great, isn't it? And the, you know, the smell of a departure lounge and all those perfumes as you walk through duty free, and all these people anticipating fun. And I go to the bookshop and I love picking a book out, and then I usually go to the bar and have a beer, cheeky beer, which is good, and then have a little shop round, and then getting on that transition time, because it tells you I'm going on holiday, doesn't it? Transition time in the airport. So yeah, so think about those transition times. Number 2 then is about smelling the coffee. You've heard that phrase, take time to smell the coffee. I'm just going to take time to have a sip of water. It doesn't have to be coffee, the smell. Do you take time to notice the smells around you? That's a really good way to take time out, actually. Just go outside and big deep breath in, and what are you smelling? You're smelling fresh air, or what are you smelling? Or, you know, when you're cooking, what does it smell like? Or before you eat your food, and I'm not suggesting you put your nose into your plate, because that looks a bit weird, doesn't it, when you're in a posh restaurant or wherever you're going to go. But are you taking time to smell? Are you taking time to use that sense? Often people say smell is the sense that evokes memories. Are you storing those memories? Are you taking time to smell and use your senses? So you can use your other 5 senses, of course. Are you taking time to look and use those senses to look around and notice things different? Are you listening to things? What can you hear now when I stop talking? Now I can hear birds outside. I don't know if you can hear them, but what did you hear in that moment of silence? It's interesting, isn't it? We've talked about smell. Do you take time to taste your food? Do you take time to chew? Do you take time to really taste it? And what about touch? That's really great as well. That sensation of touching. What do things feel like? Are you just noticing those things? So that's using your senses, I suppose. Smelling the coffee. Number 3 was staycation. Have you had a staycation at home? So you don't go on holiday, you don't leave the house, but you use the house or the garden like you're on holiday. Now, you might have to do a bit of preparation for this. So you might have to get some meals ready, and you might have to get some booze ready, or whatever you're going to have on your staycation. You might be doing a detox. You might do a staycation at home as a detox, or some intermittent fasting. But you have to prepare for that, don't you? You have to get your body prepared. You have to sort of maybe not be as busy as you normally would be busy. But have a staycation. Why don't you pretend you're on holiday in your own house? Why don't you, for example, get all your washing, right? And don't do it yourself. Go down the local laundry and pay for someone else to do it and fold it for you. Because, that's like being on holiday, isn't it? Have you got a book ready that you can just sit out in the garden and read? You don't need to go on holiday to do that. And sometimes we say to ourselves, I've got to go on holiday to read a book. No, have a staycation at home. Use that time for yourself as idea number 3. Idea number 4 for taking time for yourself is switching things off. Not now. Don't switch the internet off now because you're watching me. But at other times, I'm aware I have got 3 screens in front of me. 3 screens, 3 boxes in front of me. And I spend a lot of time looking at these 3 screens. It's not good all the time. So take some time to switch things off. So switch off your computers. Switch off your phone. Leave your phone at home, or leave it somewhere else. Have a day where maybe you have a switch off day where you switch things off. And I try on a Saturday to not carry my phone around with me on a Saturday. I try to have a technology-free Saturday. And the only thing I usually do is watch TV or watch a movie or something like that. But I stay away from my computer. I actually, on a Friday night now, I've got into the habit of closing everything down and unplugging stuff and switching it off. So I know on my computer here, I can put it into sleep mode, which it just sleeps, and then it wakes up quickly. Or I can actually go to the bar at the top and switch it off, and it powers it all down, which means it has to power it all up again. So I do use that as a technique. I also switch my phone off physically, and some people say, do you know the iPhone is designed not to switch off? Did you know that? It's designed not to switch off. But you can switch it off, but you have to do on my iPhone, I'm not suggesting the same as your phone is, you have to press the power button 5 times before it powers down. 5 times. It's the same with the Apple Watch. Because the argument is that, it should be on all the time. You should be receiving messages and emails and Facebook and that, and checking this and talking to Siri and doing this and talking to that. You've got to really, really switch it off. And we've talked about this in habits, haven't we, about putting barriers to things. Well, Apple put a barrier. I only use Apple, so Apple, don't sue me. Other mobile phones I'll maintain. It takes it harder to switch off. But yeah, they put that barrier in. Same with the TV, isn't it? It's so easy just to get the remote control and press it. Who remembers those days when you had to actually get up and change the channel and switch the TV off? I don't, of course, I don't. People talk about it in museums and things. But, talking about, do you actually get up and you switch your TV off? Do you know how to switch your TV off? But switch off is my idea anyway for number 4. And then number 5 is that me time. Just scheduling in me time into your diary. That old, we've heard it before, haven't we? What gets scheduled gets done. Yeah. Put in your diary me time and think how you're going to spend that me time. Could it be...